5 creepy facts about Torquemada. He ruled with fire and fear. Torquemada's shadow stretched across Spain, a chilling blend of piety and cruelty, teaching us how ideology can become a weapon against humanity. Imagine a world where devotion and terror walk hand in hand, where a man cloaked in sanctity could dictate life, death, and the trembling conscience of a nation. This was Spain in the late 15th century, and this man, Tomás de Torquemada, stood at the center of it all, Grand Inquisitor, confessor to kings, executioner of souls. Torquemada was born in 1420 in a quiet Castilian town, but his destiny would plunge him into the annals of infamy. He embraced the Dominican order, a life of devotion and austerity, yet the path he carved with his faith became a corridor of shadows and whispers. The Spanish Inquisition, established in 1478 under Ferdinand and Isabella, was intended to root out heresy, but under Torquemada, heresy became a theater of horror, where fear was both the tool and the punishment. The first chilling fact about Torquemada lies in his mastery of bureaucracy as a weapon of terror. He transformed a religious institution into an engine of surveillance, suspicion, and control. Inquisition records preserved in the Archivo Histórico Nacional reveal a meticulous system: lists of suspects, denunciations, interrogations. Neighbors, friends, even family members were coerced into betrayal. A society rendered paranoid, where trust became a dangerous luxury. Every accusation, every signed confession, every act of denunciation strengthened the invisible chains of fear that Torquemada wielded with unwavering precision. Torquemada's cruelty was not merely administrative, it was ritualized and theatrical. He understood the psychology of terror, the way horror could be amplified when performed publicly. Executions were not private acts of punishment, they were grand spectacles, autos da fe, where the condemned walked slowly through streets lined with gawking citizens. Their fates a lesson in obedience, their screams a sermon in pain. Henry Kamen notes that these events, often accompanied by sermons and proclamations, fused the sacred and the terrifying, a moral theater designed to imprint fear directly onto the soul of the populace. The second terrifying fact is the scale and reach of his influence. Torquemada wielded the Inquisition not only as a tool of spiritual discipline, but as an instrument of political power. He dictated the lives of thousands, targeting conversos, Jews who had converted to Christianity under social pressure, and Moriscos, Muslims who had adopted the Christian faith, scrutinizing their faith with relentless obsession. Joseph Pérez recounts that under his guidance, hundreds were burned at the stake, thousands imprisoned, and countless lives shattered by suspicion alone. Here, faith became a weapon, suspicion a prison, and the line between justice and vengeance dissolved. The third haunting fact concerns the psychological terror of confession and torture. Torquemada's Inquisition developed a system that manipulated human conscience, extracting guilt, fear, and compliance. The accused were isolated, interrogated, and confronted with their sins in the starkest, most merciless forms. The rompebrazos, the strapado, and other tortures were not merely physical instruments, but psychological instruments, tools to break the spirit and elicit confession, often fabricated or coerced under duress. This meticulous orchestration of suffering speaks to a profound understanding of human psychology, how fear, doubt, and authority can bend the will, eroding morality and trust. Torquemada's fourth dark facet was his uncompromising zeal for ideological purity. He believed that the unity of faith was synonymous with the survival of the state, and that divergence was a threat that demanded eradication. Letters and royal edicts reveal a man convinced of his divine mandate, a moral absolutist convinced that terror was justified in the service of God. Here lies the cautionary element that transcends history. When ideology is fused with unchecked power, moral blindness can justify atrocities, a lesson that echoes through centuries, reminding us that righteousness without empathy can become a form of tyranny. The fifth unsettling truth is his enduring legacy of fear. Torquemada died in 1498, yet his methods, his mindset, and the shadow he cast lingered long after. The Inquisition continued for centuries, its echo of suspicion, coercion, and control shaping not only Spain but the global imagination of religious authority and persecution. Even today, Torquemada's name conjures an archetype of zealotry, a symbol of how intellect, piety, and authority can be perverted into mechanisms of suffering. He teaches us, through horror, that human cruelty often masquerades as virtue, and that vigilance against fanaticism must be eternal. Reflecting on Torquemada's life, one confronts the fragility of human morality when enmeshed in systems of absolute power. Fear is a language spoken across time, yet it is also a mirror. It reveals how society in its obedience can betray compassion for ideology, law for ritual, faith for control. The human heart, capable of devotion and cruelty alike, must be guided by reflection and conscience, lest history repeat itself. In the echoes of his autos de fe, we hear the lesson that morality is not inherited from authority. It is forged in the courage to resist injustice, the wisdom to question, and the empathy to preserve life. Torquemada's shadow reminds us that evil often wears a familiar face, pious, learned, devoted, and that true wisdom lies in understanding the seductive nature of power and the subtle, insidious ways fear can manipulate the human spirit. Every act of cruelty under the guise of righteousness is a warning. Vigilance, critical thought, and empathy are the shields against tyranny past and present. As you close your eyes tonight and imagine the streets of 15th century Spain, the crackling flames of an auto de fe, and the solemn, commanding figure of Torquemada, consider this. Humanity's darkest lessons often arrive clothed in piety, yet within us lies the capacity to illuminate, resist, and redeem. History is not merely a tale of the past, it is a living testament, urging us to confront fear with courage, cruelty with wisdom, and oppression with conscience. If you wish to explore the depths of history, to unearth the stories that shape our understanding of humanity, and to witness how the past whispers warnings into the present, subscribe, follow, and join this journey through time, because knowledge is our greatest defense against the shadows of cruelty.